The most powerful healing map ever given to humanity was never inside a church, never inside a hospital, never inside a pharmacy. I spent years looking for it in all the wrong places, and it was at the bottom of your body the entire time. Your feet. And what's more haunting than that, Jesus knew this. He taught it, and someone somewhere made sure you never found out. What you're about to hear comes from texts that were buried in sealed jars, locked in Vatican vaults, and erased from every Bible you've ever held in your hands. This is not a sermon. This is not medical advice. This is history they don't teach. And it's about your body and what these secret points hidden on your feet can unlock inside it. One of those texts strikes me personally as the most breathtaking document ever put to parchment. Found not in Egypt, but in the secret archives of the Vatican. Written in Aramaic, the very language Jesus spoke in his daily life, and also preserved in old Slavonic manuscripts held by the Royal Library of the Habsburgs. It is called the Essene Gospel of Peace, and a scholar named Edmond Bordeaux Székely, a Hungarian-born philosopher and linguist who spent decades deciphering ancient Aramaic manuscripts, translated it and published it beginning in 1928. When I first read this text, something inside me shifted, because it wasn't a theological argument. It was a scene, a living, breathing, documented moment. And at the center of that scene are feet. The scene the Essene Gospel of Peace describes. I've read it maybe 50 times, and it still stops me. Many sick and broken people barely crawled toward Jesus. Their feet, twisted, knotted, inflamed, could no longer carry them. And they fell before him saying, "Master, we are grievously tormented with pain. Neither the angel of air, nor of water, nor of sunshine has helped us." Notice what they are listing: air, water, sunshine. These Essenes, a deeply mystical Jewish brotherhood who lived apart from mainstream society, who practiced purification rituals and communed with nature's invisible forces, had already tried everything they knew. And still the pain persisted, in the bones, in the joints, in the feet. And Jesus looked at where the running river had softened the earth into mire, into deep, mineral-rich mud, and he said something that stopped me cold the first time I read it. "Sink your feet in the mire, that the embrace of the angel of earth may draw out from your bones all uncleanness and all disease. The knots of your bones will vanish away, and they will be straightened, and all your pains will disappear." Do you feel the weight of that instruction? He didn't say, "Go to the temple." He didn't say, "Drink this potion." He said, "Put your feet in the earth. Let the earth pull the disease out through your feet." And the text tells us they followed his words, and every pain had left them. Jesus was not the first to know this. He was just the last one they could silence. Across thousands of miles, separated by oceans, languages, and centuries, three of the greatest civilizations in human history were whispering the exact same secret. Not similar, not approximately aligned, the exact same secret, and none of them were talking to each other. In Egypt, more than 4,300 years ago, over 2,300 years before the birth of Christ, the feet were not just a body part. They were a portal. The ancient Egyptians wore golden sandals to conduct the earth's energy directly into the body. Gold, the flesh of the gods, placed deliberately between the human soul and the ground. Before burial, the entire body was anointed with sacred oils. But the hands and feet received special attention, massaged until soft and supple. Not for comfort, to prepare the soul to meet the gods. And Tutankhamun, the boy pharaoh whose tomb remained sealed for over 3,000 years, had enemies carved into the soles of his sandals. Gold sheaths covered his toes. As the lector priest placed them on his feet, incantations were recited, granting him power to trample his enemies into eternity. The most powerful civilization in history put everything in the feet. Ancient India went even deeper. A healing system so vast it had mapped the human body down to 107 precise vital energy points, called marmas, centuries before Western medicine could even name the organs correctly. In Ayurveda, the feet are the terminal points of the body's energy channels, where prana, the life force itself, either flows freely or becomes blocked. The marma point at the center of each soul, Talaridaya, is directly linked to the heart, the liver, and the brain. Stimulated with warm medicated oil in a practice called Pada Abhyanga, literally anointing the feet, dormant vitality reawakens and the body begins to restore itself. An ancient Indian proverb that I personally find devastating in its depth says, "He who holds a man's feet in his hands also holds his soul." That is not a poem. That is a clinical observation written as wisdom. And then there is China, where the Huangdi Nei Jing, the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, identified more than 60 acupressure points on the feet alone, each corresponding to a specific organ or system inside your body. It introduced the concept of qi, vital energy, flowing through meridians connecting every organ, every system, every living process. And where did 6 of the body's 12 primary meridians begin or end? At the feet. Not the hands. Not the head. The feet. So you have Egypt carving it in tombs, India encoding it in Sanskrit texts older than most civilizations, China mapping it in the most influential medical document ever written. And then, centuries later, in the sun-bleached landscape of the Judean wilderness, a teacher standing by a river pointing to the mud and saying, "Put your feet in the earth." This is not coincidence. This is convergence. This is a truth so fundamental to the human body that every civilization that looked deeply enough found it. And the question you have to sit with right now is this: why, with all of this evidence carved, written, and spoken across every major civilization in history, did no one ever tell you? Modern medicine took 2,000 years to give it a name. They call it reflexology. Jesus was practicing it by a riverbank long before the word existed. Your feet contain over 7,000 nerve endings. Each one of those nerve endings is a biological relay station, wired directly into your central nervous system. The soles of your feet are, in essence, a control panel for your entire body. Pressure applied to specific zones on the foot triggers corresponding responses in organs, glands, and tissues located far away. Your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, your spine, your heart. Think about what that means. When Jesus told the sick to sink their feet in the mineral-laden earth, he wasn't offering a metaphor. He was prescribing therapeutic grounding, a full activation of the body's electrical and lymphatic systems through the most porous, most nerve-rich, most energetically receptive part of the human body. Your feet are not just transportation. Your feet are the bottom of a map. And on that map, everything is written. Every organ, every gland, every system inside you has a corresponding point on the sole of your foot that has been known, mapped, and used for healing across every major civilization in human history. The question is, do you know where to find them? You've been carrying something, and I think you know exactly what it is. Think about where your body has been hurting. Not recently, chronically. The pain that comes back no matter what you do. Write it in the comments right now. Just the body part. One word. Because when you scroll through what others write, you will realize you are not as alone in this as you thought. Let me break this down for you in a way no one else will, because I have spent years looking at the intersection of ancient texts and modern anatomy, and what I found genuinely disturbs me in the best possible way. Look at the sole of your foot. Really look at it, because what you are seeing is not just skin. It is a complete biological blueprint of everything happening inside your body right now. Start at the toes. Your entire head lives here. The big toe holds the reflex point for the pituitary gland, the master gland that commands your thyroid, your adrenals, your hormones, your sleep, your stress response. Everything about how you feel on a daily basis runs through the pituitary, and its access point is sitting on the pad of your big toe. Just above it, at the very tip, is the pineal gland. The ancient Egyptians called it the Eye of Horus. Modern science knows it regulates your entire biological clock. When this point is blocked, you don't just sleep badly, your entire inner timing system collapses. The remaining toes carry your sinuses, your eyes, your ears. Chronic headaches, ear-ringing, blurred vision. Before you look up, look down. At your toes. Move to the ball of the foot, that wide pad just beneath the toes. This is your chest. The heart reflex sits slightly left of center on the left foot. The lungs spread across both feet in this zone. This is also where grief lives in the body, where years of held breath and suppressed emotion compress the chest without ever announcing itself. When you press here and find unexpected tenderness, that is not random. That is your body surfacing something your chest has been carrying without your permission. The arch is where it gets extraordinary. Your entire digestive system is mapped here. The stomach in the upper arch of the left foot. The liver, responsible for over 500 biological functions, in the upper arch of the right. The gallbladder just below it. The pancreas running across the center of both feet. The intestines in the lower arch. Chronic bloating, sluggish metabolism, blood sugar instability. Every organ responsible for these complaints has a pressure point in your arch that has been documented for over 4,000 years. 4,000 years. And nobody told you. At the center of the arch sits the single most powerful point on the entire foot. The Chinese call it Yongquan, the bubbling spring. This is where the kidney meridian begins its entire upward journey through the body. In ancient medicine, the kidney is not just a filtration organ, it is the storehouse of your deepest life force. When Yongquan goes still, you feel it as fatigue that sleep cannot fix, lower back pain that never fully resolves, unexplained inner coldness, a nameless fear sitting in your chest like a stone. The Indian Talaridaya Marma sits in the exact same location. The Essene instruction to press the feet into the earth activated this exact point. 3 traditions, 3 continents, 1 spot. This is where healing begins. The heel carries your lower body's deepest pain. The sciatic nerve, the longest nerve in the human body, has its reflex running along the inner heel and up the inner ankle. Lower back compression, hip tightness, pelvic instability, it is all held here. The reproductive organs sit in this zone too. Hormonal imbalances, menstrual irregularities, the heel speaks a language about these things that most people were never taught to hear. Now look at the inner edge of your foot, that long curved line from your big toe all the way to your inner heel. That is your spine. Every vertebra mapped in sequence. Cervical near the toe, thoracic in the middle, lumbar in the lower arch, sacrum at the heel. A tender point anywhere along that inner edge corresponds to a specific region of your spine. Not approximately, precisely. And finally the outer edge, from the little toe to the outer heel, carries your shoulders, elbows, knees, and hips. The ankle wraps it all together, holding the lymphatic system and the emotional body simultaneously. Your body was never broken. It was never silent. It has been speaking this entire time, in a language written on the bottom of your feet. You just needed someone to hand you the translation. And Jesus, according to the text that was sealed in Aramaic parchment and locked in the Vatican, knew this language fluently. Tonight, before you sleep, find the point that responded when I described your symptom. Press it, slowly, with sustained pressure for 2 to 3 minutes. Don't force it. Don't rush it. Just listen to what your body says back. That conversation between you and your own foot. That is where this begins. Right there, in the quiet, with your own hands on your own soul. The Nag Hammadi texts give us another layer. In December of 1945, in the sun-scorched cliffs of Nag Hammadi in Upper Egypt, 2 farmers broke open a sealed clay jar. Inside, not gold, not jewelry, but 52 ancient texts, 40 of which had never been seen by the modern world. Among them was the Gospel of Thomas, 114 sayings of Jesus, almost certainly composed before many canonical gospel texts, containing a teaching I keep returning to. Jesus says, "The kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth, and men do not see it." Spread out upon the earth, beneath your feet. And in another saying, Jesus speaks about knowing yourself, truly knowing the interior landscape of your own body and soul, as the path to life itself. He describes a state of wholeness that comes not from external ritual, but from intimate self-knowledge. The Essene texts echo this exactly. When Jesus tells the sick that their own bodies are the temple, that breath, blood, bone, flesh, and bowels are themselves sacred, he is not speaking poetry. He is giving anatomy a spiritual dimension. He is saying, your body is not a problem to be treated. Your body is a living scripture to be read. There is one more buried text I need to bring you. And this one is perhaps the most confronting of all, because it doesn't just tell you that your body can heal. It tells you why your body was designed to hold this knowledge in the first place. Pistis Sophia contains a teaching about the body that I have not seen explained anywhere in mainstream religious or medical discourse. It speaks of divine light descending into matter, not to be lost there, but to be held there. That the physical body is not a mistake or a punishment, but a vessel through which fragments of divine knowledge were encoded into the material world. The divine light's descent into matter is not exile, but encoding. What was placed within the flesh before you were born was placed there deliberately. This is radical. This is the direct opposite of what centuries of religious doctrine have told you. And when you read it alongside the Essene Gospel of Peace, where Jesus says, your body is your temple, and the earthly mother has given you organs of flesh, bones that are firm, blood that flows warm, breath that moves like wind, and skin that feels the world, you begin to understand that the suppression of these texts was not about protecting people from confusion. It was about severing you from the knowledge that your own body, the one you have been living in your entire life, was built as a self-healing, self-reading, self-restoring system. That the map was already inside you. That the wisdom was already beneath your feet. Pistis Sophia calls this the work of retrieval, not seeking something external, but descending inward. waiting for the moment you were ready to look down instead of only looking up. You are ready now. I'm going to say something here that is purely my own view, and I won't pretend otherwise. There is a reason the Essene Gospel of Peace was sealed in Aramaic parchment inside Vatican archives. There is a reason the Nag Hammadi texts were buried in a clay jar in the Egyptian desert, likely hidden by monks terrified they would be destroyed after a bishop declared them heretical in 367 AD. There is a reason that the healing knowledge encoded in these texts, knowledge that connects your physical body directly to the earth, to natural law, to zones and energies that your own nervous system already understands, was systematically removed from what you are allowed to call sacred scripture. A person who can read the language written on the soles of their own feet does not need to be told they are broken. That, in my personal reading of history, is the core of why this knowledge was suppressed. Not because it was dangerous, because it was too powerful to be left in the hands of ordinary people. But here you are, ordinary, powerful, and now knowing. The texts were buried. The jars were sealed. The vaults were locked. And somehow, out of every video on the internet, every scroll of a feed, every distracted moment of a modern life, you ended up here, watching this till the end. That is not algorithm. That is not accident. The knowledge that 3 civilizations carved into stone, encoded in Sanskrit, mapped in meridians, and that one man spoke in Aramaic by a muddy riverbank 2,000 years ago, it survived every attempt to erase it. It outlasted empires. It outlasted the men who buried it. And it waited. It waited for someone ready enough to receive it. Look down at your feet, right now. The same feet that have carried you through every hard day, every exhausting year, every moment you thought you wouldn't make it through. They were never just carrying you. They were holding the map the whole time. You were always going to find this. You were always going to be the one who looked deeper, stayed longer, asked the questions nobody around you was asking. That's not coincidence. That's who you are.